Alright, I'm Alec, and this is going to be the first part of a pretty long series where I'm basically just glossing over everything in my collection, my CDs, my vinyl, my cassettes, and my collection isn't really comprised of one specific genre. It's not all metal, it's not all rock, it's not all blah 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 blah. It's kind of a little bit of everything. However, metal is my favorite genre, and it is the dominant genre that lies in my collection. So, here we go. The Asylum Archives. Kicking off the collection, we're going to start with my CDs. We have A.O.D, or Ashes of Death. They're a local metal band. They're kind of groove metal. They remind me a lot of Pantera, with the way the guitars are so dense and heavy, but they can slip into these really nice melodic moments. And the vocalist has quite a bit of versatility, where he has these really raspy, Phil Anselmo-esque shouted or screamed vocals, and he can go into these really nice, cleanly sung moments where it's not so overly melodramatic or anything. It's a nice touch, I think. On the next band, I know you're looking at this cover, you're like, what is this? Certain albums in my collection, in my CD collection, there were only digital downloads, and I'm the type of person, I need a physical copy of the music I own, so I downloaded it and I burned it to a collection. Abated Mass of Flesh, they're kind of like a really cool mixture between death metal and grindcore. It's pretty relentless, and it's only like 5 songs, so if you're really not paying attention to it, it can kind of go by in a pretty quick blur. I think, though, Repulsive Virulent Dissemination was a pretty intense kickoff to this pretty short, I want to say it's an EP. The next band, I have a couple albums from them. We have Abney Park, Lost Horizons, and The End of Days. Now, steampunk really isn't my thing. I got this from a friend, although I do think the very dark and ambient atmosphere that surrounds a lot of these songs is kind of intoxicating. I think it's a little eerie, but I just couldn't really find anything that stood out to me on these albums. If you're into pretty gothic stuff, industrial, I would recommend you check these guys out, but they really weren't for me. Now, the next band, these guys are a death grind outfit, death metal. We have Aborted, a couple of their albums, The Necrotic Manifesto and Slaughter and Apparatus. Now, I honestly thought The Necrotic Manifesto was a lot better than Slaughter and Apparatus. I think they sounded a lot bassier. The production style was a little sanitized, maybe a little too overproduced. There were moments where it felt like everything was so compartmentalized and compressed that it felt a little mechanical, but I think the songwriting was pretty intense, and these long, wicked, stretched out compositions really took me into the fold of this music, and it kept my attention for a good amount of time. However, if you aren't into super extreme music, it'll probably scare the living crap out of you. It was kind of a blur on the first couple listens because it's so relentless, and it is pretty long at 14 tracks, but I think Cenobites, the closer, was actually a pretty great way to end the album. This next band I recently just got into, which is weird because they've been around for a while and a lot of my friends are into them. The technical death metal, melodic death metal band Abysmal Dawn, their album Leveling the Plane of Existence. Now, I don't know why it took me so long to just sit down and go, okay, I'm gonna buy an album from them finally, because after I listened to it, I mean, they're not only are they not, I wouldn't say they're super flashy, but they have this proficient level of technicality while still maintaining these really beefy guitars, and the drums are just pummeling. I think Rapture Renowned was a pretty fantastic song, and the title track on here was pretty decent. That's really all I can say about this album. Now, the next band I have here, I couldn't really say that no one knows who they are. I would be surprised if I found anyone who didn't. If you're looking to get into like some old school rock and roll, AC/DC is always the best way to go. All this right here. All this is AC/DC. I'm not going to go too far into them because I'm sure if you're watching this, you already know who they are. You probably already listened to their music. But yeah, we got Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. Some pretty fantastic tracks like the title track, Big Balls, Problem Child. We have High Voltage. I can't say this is one of my favorite albums. I know it has like one of their biggest tracks on here, TNT, but I don't know. I feel like Dirty Deeds was a little edgier, maybe. We have Let There Be Rock, another one of AC/DC's greatest albums. Songs like Problem Child, Whole Lotta Rosie. This album didn't really... is actually one of my least favorite albums by AC/DC, other than Fly on the Wall, and which I think I have in this collection too, and Blow Up Your TV. Here we have probably my favorite album, probably everyone's favorite album, Highway to Hell. The title track of this was just so sinister for the time that it came out in, and If You Want Blood, You've Got It was a pretty odd song, I think. Night Prowler was another one of those eerie ones. For those about to rock, this wasn't an album that I really listened to all that much. I think I listened to it like twice and then put it in my collection and never touched it again. Like I said, my main genre is metal, so most of the albums that I have, the only ones I feel a really big pull to are the metal. But a couple decent tracks on here. The title track, Inject the Venom, Night of the Long Nights had a pretty catchy chorus, actually. It was actually pretty decent. Flick of the Switch, this is another one of my least favorite AC/DC albums. I don't even think they had any huge hits off this one, and the deep cuts on here didn't really stand out to me all that much either. I think Brain Shake was probably my least favorite song off of this album. It was kind of annoying, actually. Next one we have is a 5-track EP demo, 74 Jailbreak. This is a pretty short one. I think Jailbreak, the self-titled, or the title track, and Soul Stripper were two of the best songs on here. Maybe You Ain't Got a Hold on Me was pretty decent as well. This is another one of the albums I was mentioning when I said it wasn't a whole lot of AC/DC albums that I disliked, but Blow Up Your Video was one of them. I couldn't even tell you. I think I listened to this like once and never touched it again. I barely remember the song Nick of Time, and I don't think it was all that fantastic. Maybe I need to just listen to it one more time, give it another chance, but this was just an album I couldn't get into. We got a live album from AC/DC. I'll probably just gloss over this one. Has a lot of their greatest hits. Shoot to Thrill, Back in Black, Who Made Who, Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap, Whole Lotta Rosie, Thunderstruck. Pretty much any song everyone knows from AC/DC is on this album. we have Ball Breaker. I think the greatest song on this album has to be Cover You in Oil, or what is it? Whiskey on the Rocks. I think these two were the most entertaining songs, actually. But as far as Who Made Who goes, this is mostly a compilation. I think there's Who Made Who and DT are probably, I think, the only two original songs on here. But I think the rest, it's like Hell's Bells, For Those About to Rock, You Shook Me All Night Long. I think it was a little disappointing to only get a couple new originals, but it was a decent album, I suppose. And not their latest album, but Black Ice, I actually don't have their latest album. Black Ice was, it had some pretty catchy tunes. What was it? Crazy Train, Rock and Roll Train. Crazy Train's Ozzy Osbourne. Smash and Grab, Spoilin' for a Fight. I think the group vocals on War Machine was kind of weird. They had such deep, they were going in a much lower register than they usually do, and it just sounded off to me. And I think there was a point in this song where it sounded so mechanical, like it was legitimately a machine. I don't think it complemented the track all that well. Alright, I think we're going to cut it here. I don't think I'm going to make these videos too long. I don't want to bore everyone. Yeah, it'll be a pretty long series. If you can probably see that wall. And right underneath the camera, actually, it's sitting on top of my stereo system, and right under that I have a shelf of vinyl. Not that many cassettes, but if you guys are interested, stay tuned. Thanks for watching. You guys are awesome.